The year is 1837. The crown rests on the head of an 18-year-old girl, shy, curious, and entirely unprepared to rule a global empire. But that girl, Victoria, would reign for more than 6 decades. And the world would never be the same. This is the Victorian Era, a time of breathtaking innovation, crushing inequality, moral contradictions, and unimaginable change. In this journey, we'll explore the people, events, inventions, and undercurrents that defined an empire and shaped the modern world. So, grab a cup of tea, and let's step back into a time of top hats, telegrams, and secrets behind the lace curtains. Born Alexandrina Victoria in 1819, the future queen had a lonely childhood. Controlled by her mother, the Duchess of Kent, and the domineering Sir John Conroy, young Victoria lived under strict Kensington rules, a bizarre set of codes that isolated her from the world. But fate had other plans. When King William IV died in 1837, Victoria ascended the throne. She was just 18. In her diary, she wrote, "I shall do my utmost to do my duty." And she did, but not without help. Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, her cousin, yes, but also her intellectual equal, became her confidant, partner, and political guide. Together, they promoted science, education, and morality. They had 9 children. Yes, 9. When Albert died in 1861, Victoria plunged into mourning. She wore black for the rest of her life, becoming the somber, stoic icon we now associate with the era. But while the Queen mourned, her empire marched forward. Picture it: the hiss of steam engines, the clang of iron forges, the acrid smell of coal in the air. This was the Industrial Revolution in full swing. Britain became the workshop of the world. Textile mills in Manchester and coal mines in Wales transformed how people lived and worked. Goods once made by hand were now mass-produced. Railways connected towns like never before. Telegrams sent messages across oceans in minutes. But progress came at a cost. Working conditions were brutal. Children as young as 5 worked 12-hour shifts. Diseases like cholera swept through slums. Life expectancy in some areas dropped to below 30. Yet for some, this era brought opportunity. Self-made industrialists emerged as a new kind of nobility, men who built railroads, factories, and fortunes. But not everyone celebrated this new world. Victorian morality, a code of decorum, modesty, and strict gender roles? Or was it? In public, propriety reigned supreme. Women were expected to be passive, pure, and pious. Men were the breadwinners, rational, restrained, and respectable. But behind closed doors, a different story. Prostitution thrived in Victorian London. Some estimates suggest over 80,000 women worked the streets. Brothels flourished just blocks from Parliament. And then there were the scandals. Writers like Oscar Wilde challenged the hypocrisy of the age. In 1895, he was convicted for gross indecency, his sexuality a scandal that rocked high society. The Victorian era was a performance, elegant on the surface, messy underneath. This was a time of both reason and ghosts. In 1859, Charles Darwin published On the Origin of Species. Evolution was a radical idea. It shook the very foundation of belief. Was man truly descended from apes? Or were we divine? As science pushed boundaries, medicine followed. Anesthesia transformed surgery. Hospitals became more hygienic, thanks in part to Florence Nightingale, who revolutionized nursing during the Crimean War. But science didn't banish superstition. Spiritualism surged in popularity. Seances were fashionable. Even Queen Victoria reportedly tried to contact Prince Albert from beyond the grave. Victorians lived in tension, caught between science and seance. If you want to understand a people, read their stories. And the Victorians gave us some of the best. Charles Dickens captured the soul of the age, the poverty, the injustice, the humanity. His characters, Oliver, Scrooge, Pip, still haunt us today. The Bronte sisters dared to write about passion, madness, and the wildness of the Moors. George Eliot explored the inner lives of ordinary people. Thomas Hardy gave us tragic realism. Art, too, was changing. The Pre-Raphaelites rebelled against convention. Music halls brought bawdy humor to the masses. And photography captured faces for the first time, raw and unfiltered. This was a culture of contradictions, buttoned up, but bursting with creativity. At its height, the British Empire covered nearly a quarter of the world's population. The sun never set on it, but plenty of shadows were cast. India, the jewel in the crown, was both a source of pride and conflict. In 1857, the Indian Rebellion shook the empire. Britain responded with brutal force. The empire was a strange thing. It brought railways, education, and trade, but also exploitation, violence, and cultural destruction. Missionaries spoke of civilizing, but their actions erased native traditions. The Victorians believed in progress, but at what cost? By the time Queen Victoria died in 1901, the world was unrecognizable. Electric lights illuminated homes, trains could cross entire countries, moving pictures flickered in darkened theaters. The seeds of the modern world had been sown. From telephones to flushing toilets, from bicycles to typewriters. So much of what we take for granted began with Victorian ambition. But that ambition came with blind spots. Not everyone shared in the progress. The 20th century would bring reckonings, with class, race, gender, and power. The Victorian era was not just about corsets and carriages, it was about ideas, about struggle, about change. It was an age of contradictions, of grandeur and grime, of hope and hypocrisy, of science and superstition. Queen Victoria may be long gone, but her shadow lingers in our cities, in our politics, in our imaginations, because history is never really past. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the Victorian era. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating chapters. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring,